All right, let's dive straight into something absolutely epic today for this explainer. We are taking a journey into the hidden spiritual battles described in Lurianic Kabbalah, specifically drawing from the incredibly profound mystical text, Shaar Hamitzvot. Listen, if you think the world around you is just exactly what you can see and touch, well, buckle up, because we are about to pull back the curtain on a universe-spanning conflict.
I want you to really ask yourself, what if the greatest war in human history is happening right now? Like literally right in your living room or sitting at your desk at work, completely unseen. We almost always think of epic battles as these massive historical events with physical armies, right? But Kabbalah flips that. It frames your everyday ordinary life as the front line of a massive, invisible cosmic battlefield. Every single choice you make is an act of spiritual warfare.
Now, ancient texts often present two layers of meaning. On a literal historical level, you got the biblical rules of going out to battle physical enemies, standard stuff. But there is a secret, mystical interpretation here. When the text says when you go out to war against your enemies, it's not actually talking about a neighboring army. It is talking about the daily, internal, spiritual battle against the unseen forces known as the Klipot.
So, who exactly is the enemy we're fighting? They're known as the Klipot, which literally translates to shells. Think of them like the ultimate cosmic antagonists. These are the forces of darkness that surround the holy, acting as barriers. And here's the crazy part. They don't just block the light, they actively hold holy souls and divine sparks captive in the spiritual realm. They're basically the wardens of a dark dimension, holding the very essence of the universe hostage.
To really understand this battlefield, we kind of have to look at the cosmic backstory, the origin story of the universe's brokenness. So, in Epic 1, the four spiritual worlds are created in perfect order. But then comes Epic 2, the shattering of the vessels. The divine light was just way too intense for the spiritual containers meant to hold it, and it led to this catastrophic collapse known as the death of the seven kings. Finally, in Epic 3, 288 holy sparks of divine light fell down, deep into the realm of the Klipot, totally trapped in darkness.
And that brings us to this incredibly dramatic concept, straight from our source text, a pure, holy soul oppressed and taken captive by the Klipot. The text takes the whole biblical concept of finding a beautiful captive woman during wartime and completely reframes it. We're not talking about a physical prisoner of war here. It represents a glowing, pure soul trapped in the absolute darkest depths of the spiritual realm, crying out, just waiting for a righteous warrior to mount a rescue mission.
So the crucial question is, how do we actually get them out? The mechanics of this cosmic rescue mission operate in four really distinct steps. First, the righteous warrior actively enters enemy territory. Second, they battle the Klipot, but not with swords, with spiritual focus. Third, they rescue the captive soul. And fourth, they elevate that soul back to its holy root. The spiritual warrior doesn't conquer to gain power, right? They conquer for absolute cosmic liberation.
Of course, every warrior needs an arsenal. First up, you need a pure and righteous heart. You literally cannot be overcome by your own darker inclinations. Second, the double-edged sword. The text explicitly states that reciting the bedtime Shema prayer is a literal, spiritual double-edged sword that slays the Klipot. Add to that your everyday righteous deeds, and even seemingly mundane actions like returning a lost item. Every single positive act is a high-tech spiritual weapon.
But hey, what happens when the mission fails? What actually happens to the souls that fall in battle or simply haven't completed their cosmic objective before their physical life ends? Enter the Kabbalistic concept of the cosmic respawn. Yeah, we are talking about reincarnation, but with massive, superhero-level stakes.
The primary method for this is called Gilgul. This is full reincarnation from birth. A soul returns to Earth to complete an unfinished cosmic mission. But the source text makes it very, very clear. This is an incredibly difficult and painful respawn. You have to start an entire human life cycle all over again. You're completely vulnerable, you have to relearn absolutely everything, and the spiritual pain of starting from scratch is immense.
But thankfully, there's a second, much preferred method, Iber. It translates as soul impregnation, but honestly, think of it more as a spiritual team-up. A soul from the spiritual realm temporarily joins an already living person to help them complete a specific righteous deed or mitzvah. And once the mission is accomplished, boom, the guest soul returns to its holy place in total peace.
When we contrast these two alongside each other, the difference in stakes is just massive. Gilgul is a solo mission with high spiritual pain and a full, exhausting life cycle. Ibr, on the other hand, is basically a co-op mode. It features much lower pain and operates as a temporary, highly effective alliance just to get a specific spiritual job done. A soul will do almost anything to achieve its fix through Ibr, rather than suffering the full reset of Gilgul.
Which brings us to one of the most mind-bending interpretations in the entire text. You will not be able to hide yourself from your brother's lost item. Now, on a surface level, sure, if your neighbor loses a physical object, you have to return it. But in the Kabbalistic War of the Soul, we are talking about a completely different kind of lost item.
The lost item isn't a physical object at all. It is a reincarnated fellow soul that desperately needs your help to finish its tikkun, its spiritual fix. When you encounter someone in life, or when a soul joins you in Ibor, that is your brother's lost item. You literally cannot hide from it because their spiritual destiny is intimately tied to yours.
Here is how this incredible soul team-up actually works in practice. First, a soul is commanded to descend to Earth. Second, on the way down, it literally grabs a lost soul, a soul that needs fixing. Third, they share a physical body on Earth. And fourth, and this is the absolute kicker, the primary soul cannot ascend and reap its spiritual reward until the guest soul finishes its mission. We are literally bound together. Your spiritual success is entirely dependent on helping your brother's lost soul.
So who is actually down here fighting this war right now? Well, there are three main categories of souls currently on Earth. Category 1, completely new souls. The text notes these are very rare, especially since the destruction of the temple. Category 2, reincarnated old souls. That's most of us. We are fragments of the first human, Adam, sent back again and again to fix the shattered universe. And Category 3, the trapped sparks of the Seven Kings, still waiting deep, deep in the Klipot to be rescued.
We always have to remember the stakes of this invisible war. Every single time you stumble or commit a sin, the divine light retreats upward. It literally leaves the world colder and darker. But your righteous actions, they are the magnet. They are the tactical beacon that draws that divine light back down to the battlefield to nourish the world and push back the Klipot.
And what happens when the light has retreated too far? We see this number, 39. In ancient times, there was a physical punishment of 39 lashes. But mystically, these 39 metaphorical strikes correspond to the numerical value of divine names. It acts as a profound cosmic reset button. It breaks the hold of the strict judgments and literally forces the hidden, retreated light back out into the open to sustain the universe.
And the wild part is, we see the spiritual reality mirrored right here in our physical world. Take a super mundane action, like the biblical command to build a physical fence or parapet on a new roof. Why do we actually do it? Because that physical boundary perfectly mirrors the massive cosmic barriers that separate the four spiritual worlds. When you build a fence to stop someone from falling, you are literally manifesting the spiritual shields that keep divine light from falling down into the darkness of the Klipot.
So, where is all of this heading? What is the end game of human history? It's the ultimate cosmic victory, the day when all 288 fallen sparks are finally rescued. The day the Klipot are permanently starved of light and defeated, the day the shattered universe is completely repaired, the ultimate tikkun. And all those fragmented, exhausted souls finally return to their pure original root in peace.
We've covered a lot of really profound ground today, but I want to leave you with this final thought. If absolutely everything you do, the words you say, the lost items you return, the boundaries you build, if all of it is a weapon in an invisible cosmic war, what are you going to fight for today? Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me, and definitely keep learning.